Hi friends, I'm at home today and I thought I would show you what I have in my toolbox in case my children and the people in my house got COVID. So to start with, I want to point out that high dose zinc and high dose vitamin D for one day is super helpful. Now, some of you have low vitamin D and low zinc levels to begin with. And so for you, I would even give higher. So that's why I want you to call me if you have any symptoms of COVID or if you test positive. So the vitamin D that I keep in the house in case we get COVID is the Metagenics D3K2. It's 10,000 units of D, and it has 20 micrograms of vitamin K per capsule. You would actually take up to five of these on day one, depending on what your baseline level is. Now, you don't continue taking that high dose, but on the first day, it's super helpful. The other thing we do on the first day is high dose zinc. So between 100 and 300 milligrams, these are 50. So this is the Douglas Lab zinc picolinate, and these are 50 milligrams. We have these in the office if you need them. And so the first day you would take high dose zinc, high dose vitamin D, and then quercetin. And this is not actually the one I would recommend. There's a different one that's a Now brand, and it's just quercetin by itself. Somewhere between 200 and 500 milligrams, even up to 600 milligrams, every time you take the zinc. And that's because the quercetin actually helps to move the zinc into the cell, and this also helps to stop the replication of any virus. So the things I'm talking about actually help with different viruses, but specifically for COVID, we know quercetin, when you take it with the zinc, at least the first 5 days helps with getting the zinc into where you need it to go. The next thing I would start on day one is actually lemon balm. It doesn't have to be a tincture. It could be a tea or a capsule. If you do the tincture, it is 2 dropperfuls. It's a high dose. So the bottle says 30 drops. That's usually only 1 dropper. I am asking people to do 2 dropperfuls, so 60 drops to 80 drops, somewhere in there, 4 times a day. So if you do the tea, you just have to make it concentrated and keep drinking it, like a lot of lemon balm tea. Now, alternatively, other plants in the mint family also stop the replication of coronaviruses. So you can use peppermint or spearmint if you prefer it. Lemon balm is also really good for the mood. The only negative of lemon balm is if you have hypothyroidism, it may make you feel tired because it decreases the amount of circulating thyroid hormone. But to be honest, if you've got COVID and you need to rest, it's not such a bad thing to just feel tired for a few days, especially for kids. This can be super helpful to just get them to stop running around so their bodies can rest. The next thing I start day one is actually glutathione. I like trisomal glutathione by Apex. This is my favorite brand. It's affordable. We order it in cases at the office, but it has to stay refrigerated. So I just pulled it out of the fridge to show you. This would be 1 teaspoon at least every 2 hours when you first get COVID. We can do IV glutathione in the office instead. We can also do IV vitamin C and IV ozone on day one. You know, if my children, when they get COVID, that's what I would do for them. So that's just keeping that in mind. Vitamin C is also great orally, but you got to try to get your dose up, which sometimes is challenging. You know, and the last thing that two last things I don't have to show you. Anything you can do for your gut, especially if gut healing has been something you've been working on to begin with and then you develop COVID. And this is because our lymph nodes, 75 to 80% of our lymph nodes surround the gut. So that's where the virus is going to be most concentrated. So biocidin is great, Biocidin. The tincture, not the throat spray, but the tincture is actually stronger, or the liposomal one. You can also use the liposomal biocidin in a nebulizer, and you can actually nebulize it and breathe it into the lungs, which is great for COVID. And then the last thing I was going to say about gut healing was probiotics. Anything that you would normally do to keep the gut healthy, double the dose the first few days of COVID. And I think that is everything. When people develop post-COVID syndrome and they have depression or brain fog after COVID, that's when I also use Cogni's Detox, and I continue the glutathione. And then I kind of individualize the plan depending on what else is going on with the patient, what other diagnoses do they have, what vitamin deficiencies do they have. Keep in mind the 3 pillars of making sure that if you get COVID that you do well and recover quickly are actually that's kind of an aside, but zinc levels, vitamin D levels, so zinc, vitamin D, and then also your general inflammation. So if you can keep your stress down, keep your inflammation down, ahead of time know your vitamin D and your zinc levels, then you're in good shape.